How do you structure the AQA poetry comparison English question? Let's get started. So we're going to start with our thesis statement, that's the introduction, and we're going to make a generalised similarity statement about the two poems in relation to the theme of the question. And then we're going to make a nuanced difference. So we're going to say, both poems have this, however, this poem presents it more in this way, and this poem more in this way. More on this later. Then we're going to have a big long paragraph of a similarity. So this is going to be the more vague similarity from your introduction. And you're going to make a language point about each poem, one after the other, and you're going to really, really deeply analyse your language. And then you're going to talk about your nuanced difference. So you're going to do two separate paragraphs this time, one about the first poem and one about the second. Just make sure you're comparing them throughout both paragraphs. So for the first paragraph, you can either talk about language or structure or both, but I would recommend you get structure in at some point throughout your essay. So make sure you don't just do language, you need to talk about structure as well. So I would recommend doing some structure in these two paragraphs here. And then you're going to talk about it from the second poem's perspective. So each of these you're going to say, this one's going to be, however, this second poem is different because of this, based on what you've written in your introduction. And you're going to make your points, and then you're going to write your conclusion. So we're going to start by looking at the thesis statement. So let's look at this question. Explore emotion in family connections and walking away. So I'm going to choose this to pair walking away with mother any distance. So the bits that I've underlined will be specific to this question, and the other bits you can use for any answer. In both Walking Away and Mother Any Distance, the poets explore the theme of pain brought through separation of families. While in Walking Away a sense of acceptance is reached, as it's written from the perspective of the parent, in Mother Any Distance a theme of risk and anxiety at the separation is explored as it's from the child's perspective. So as you can see, we've got the brief similarity, which is fairly surface level, and then we've got a nuanced difference, and this is really helpful to structure the rest of your essay. Okay, here is the structure I would use for your first paragraph, where you're talking about the similarity. So first poem, second poem, talking about the language analysis, talking about the ways in which the exploration of the theme is similar. So I would be talking about the way in which pain of separation is similar in both poems. And then you go ahead and write two more what, how, why paragraphs, each one about each poem. So you talk about, this poem talks more about, what did I say earlier, the acceptance. In Walking Away, an acceptance is reached, and I do a what, how, why paragraph about that. However, in this poem, there is more anxiety, and I do another what, how, why paragraph about that with my points on structure and language in those paragraphs. And then I'll go ahead and write a conclusion, which is basically a repetition of the thesis statement with a bit more nuance and a bit more understanding. And this is the essay that I wrote on this one. I'm just going slow in case you want to